about space. You were on expeditions 6, 30, and 31. Over 15 years, how has life on the ISS changed?
The first time I was on space station, it was under construction. It's like living in your house while you're still building it, and you have a bucket where the kitchen sink is supposed to be, and then you find out that you have to entertain the boss, and you got to move the table saw out from the dining room. And so on space station, it was like that, even though we were still trying to do some scientific experiments while we were building space station.
I mean, have meals changed? Are you still eating space ice cream?
Oh, you know, NASA flew that on 1 or 2 missions and decided it was too much of a mess because the little crumbs float around and they're hydroscopic and they just stick and make a mess. So we don't actually do astronaut ice cream anymore.
That's a bummer. All right.
So Don, back in 1998, which is when the first module went up in space, you had sort of Pentiums. Now you have much more powerful sort of machines. So 2 questions. One is, how is the ISS sort of upgraded from a technology standpoint, and what are the gadgets that the astronauts use the most today?
Well, astronauts interact with what we call our SSC system, our Space Station Support Computers. And these things are just normal laptop computers, and NASA changes them out every few years. But the actual computers that run Space Station are 486-based processors, and there's a reason for that, because these things are radiation hardened, and they don't chump as frequently from galactic cosmic ray single event upsets as, say, a standard laptop computer. Those things die all the time.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about funding, because President Obama signed a 2-year budget blueprint, which was passed by Congress last week. How much does NASA depend on federal funding today, and how much is the future dependent on private partnerships with companies like a SpaceX or a Blue Origin?
Oh, you're asking me funding, managerial kinds of questions, and I'm just the lowly guy that gets to fly in space and do all the work. So you're going to have to ask somebody from NASA headquarters about that kind of stuff.
But does a guy like Elon Musk getting into space and Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, working on Blue Origin, does that excite you? Does the idea of a private space race, is that exciting to you?
Oh, it is. A commercial space, I think, is the wave of the future, and it adds robustness to America's space program, because we have 5 or 6 commercial spacecraft for transporting people under construction right now in the United States. Only one of them is NASA's. The rest of them are commercial, and it's going to see how successful these people are. It's like the barnstorming days, going off from flying airplanes, but now we're going off into space, and the more spacecraft we have for getting into space, the more robust our program's going to be, and the better America's going to be able to explore space.
So on the lighter side of things, what do you guys do for your downtime up there in terms of, you know, spending a couple of hours to kill?
Oh, we call it off-duty time, because you never really have free time, because you could be called back at a moment's notice. But the limited free time we do have, you can do any number of things. You can watch DVD movies, you can read books, you can do whatever you need in order to maintain your psyche. I preferred to do little science, educational demonstrations that I dreamed up just because I was there.